Okay, I'm resuming recording. Um, if somebody joins, unmute and let me know. I'm not sure that I'll definitely see it, but right now I'm just going to start going through the pieces that I said I would. The link here should be visible on CoSy, but I guess if you've joined, then you've gotten past that hurdle. And what I'm going to do, like I said, although perhaps I'll repeat this again, to download CoSy, first I'll show this, of course, is my front page and a lot of stuff, and you can subscribe, donate much needed funds to this enterprise. And you see also my work on planetary temperature, because my druthers are definitely on the math, physics end of things. But, and here's the CoSy, this specifically CoSy page. It's got, in particular, these Zooms are archived there. But what I really want to get into is the issues of downloading and starting CoSy, which I definitely find GitHub, I'd rather people not even have to learn about GitHub. It's too complicated. So I've just made this code directory, fourth CoSy, just an open directory. And I've got the download and start instructions here, which like a number fourths, Riva, the fourth that CoSy is built in, can cause false positives. And in Windows, since I'm in Windows, let me go and go through that process of updating and so forth. Let me go to first settings. Yeah, settings. Okay, and it's saying settings, update and security, Windows security. Where's Windows security? Windows security, virus and threat protection, and that's going to start it up, upsize the thing. Manage settings, exclusions. This is where you finally get down to the add an exclusion, and you see I have a few different folders exempted. So that's the sequence to go and make sure that in Windows, in any case, you won't have a problem on that. Let me go back here. And this 616, so I haven't, this is as of last month, but let me save the file. Okay, zip file to, well, downloads is fine. I'll replace it. I already have it, so I'll replace it. And let me, and so let me come over. I have this open to a bunch of my pictures and so forth, but let me come to downloads. And I have CoSy zip, and I'll want to extract all. Like, actually, what I found is the simplest thing to do is to make a directory. And let me start another file explorer. It's the simplest way to do it. And in the local disk, I'm going to, you go and set up a directory yourself, but I'm just going to use this one that's already here and just simply delete everything. Okay. Because I found that in extracting this, it's simplest to come in here and just choose everything and copy it over into the target directory. So we will just checking to see whether anybody's joining. We've now copied it over, and it should be that simple. And there's this, you could either, well, there are these bats, or there's the shortcut, and I'll just execute the shortcut. And voila, we're up in a copy of help, of the fundamental, yeah, we're up live. So that should be all that is necessary to get CoSy running. And if you have more trouble than that, please let me know. What I think is worthwhile doing is since this has not been updated for a while, I'm going to go through that process. I'm going to go and start up the work log. I'm just realizing that since I want to go and I'm going to go to my own current copy. So let me just, when I hit buy, little trick here, if I hit with F6, which executes it as a CoSy level, it does a save. If I do Shift F6, it doesn't. It's not going to matter. But here, I don't know exactly why that's errored, but it doesn't matter. EX, because I'm exiting anyway. So I'm going to go to actually my own active. This is my normal use, and this is my current copy. And what I want to do, and I'll start up my working directory. So this is all my current work up to date. And what I'm going to do is hitting F12, F11, upload. So what I'm going to do actually is update the directory on the website. And I'm going to simply use the FTP. Other people probably know better how to do these things than I do. But let me come over here to, well, what I really want to do is come over here online to the fourth CoSy directory and come over in File Explorer. Move, oops, that's the, here's where I want to be. And come over here. First of all, let me come over here, and all of the changes are going to be in CoSy code itself. So that's the simplest thing to do first. And sort it by date modified. And if I come over here and go to code and to CoSy, and the date changed, see the 16th was obviously the time when this was most, so I want to go and upload anything that's since the 16th. And that's really only, interestingly, I've not updated any of the other working directories since, oh, that's 616. Ah, wait a minute, let me go. I was looking at 716. So I'm just uploading the ones that have changed. 628, work log, don't need to upload any of the backup copies. So util, that's the same one. So, okay, whoops. Did I lose some? I want to go and do those two. So actually, I can just go and add these over here. And so I've now updated the backup of the online copies. And this is one of the things is you can simply go and upload those particular items that you need. And let me come back up here and copy. Let me see how I've got an arc. Yeah, let me go and archive. Just move this to archive and rename it while I'm here to 0719, right? 18. This is where yeah, whoop. Okay. So this may be my poorest. I'm wondering whether people are having any issue with getting on. I know some people are happy that I'm doing these. And I've seen some other truly terrible guys just doing program construction on YouTube's. So I'm going to keep going until I get it right. Anyway, so I've got that backed up, and now, I mean, obviously this is being on my local disk. I have the entire. I'm just going to go and what's the simplest way to create, and I haven't done this in a while. Again, this is why conversation is going to be better. My second week is less stellar. Trying to think what the simplest way of making a zip is. This is something where it shows my ignorance of anything. Well, actually, I think the simplest thing to do. Oh, this is the simplest thing to do. Let me hit delete. Yes. Yeah, this is the simplest thing to do. Okay, now I just take all of this, and actually I can copy. And compressing. Okay, that was simple enough. And then I can take this and just, whoops, don't want to add it to arc. Let me go back up and add it. That may be somewhat useful for people seeing how to go and how I, in any case, go and maintain the uploaded thing. And I think you see that's, you don't have to learn anything to do this, anything in addition to just standard manage participants. Okay, I'm not sure whether you see those things like the little windows, the Zoom created windows on top of things. But, okay, that's gotten through that bit. And I think what I'll do, what I sort of planned in this contingency, was to go through some items. So at least that's archived on how to go and download, and also how I maintain my the online copy. Now anybody that downloads it's going to get a totally up-to-date copy, and should even in fact contain this note from at 809. And make a copy. So let me eliminate this for the moment. Let me come to something a little bit more interesting. Come back to the main window. Please, if anybody does try to get on and has problems, let me know on either Facebook messaging or by the way, I might as well go and show. I also have a presence on Twitter, which all of these I want to move to mail list, and I actually was not as good with mail list today. But if I go to, I have CoSy. I always post things here, but as things evolve, I really am moving to mail lists, which I won't go into directly today, although it's the fact that mail lists and accounts have reached a certain point of maturity is what sort of allows me to get into a more active, if you will, marketing role. Should have background music with this so that people can just have this on as while they're doing other things, and if I say something interesting, can tune in. Oh, yes, this is somewhat interesting, and this is something that's obviously new. In going back to CoSy, I've had a directory, and I'm going to go over to the actual. This is the downloaded job that you've got, and I'm going to actually make notes over here, which I will probably move over to work log and so forth. But I want to essentially go through D names, which is the names of all of the items in the root directory. And as I pointed out before, the root directory is a list of two lists, the first of which can either be gotten by 0 at 0. That's the same as disclose is very, it's like, I guess, car in going back to Lisp. But in any case, it's the items in here. And one that I've had from early on, obviously, is a fact object. So I can access that by its name and let me do this in two different ways so you can see that's an item in R. Tick, as went through, goes and just returns the word as a string. So R tick fact, and then you have for a list, like let me just make a list of well, let me go ahead and, well, that's, yeah, that's, there's a list of integers. You got to specify, you have F paren, and you have, I think one of the most interesting, and you have regular strings. Here, that's a 4-item list. Since I went and had a typo there, let me do at, or let me do it in raw. What I was wanting to do is, this is raw at the 4th level. I'm going to have, I can't remember actually whether this, just for safety, yeah, that returned the raw 5. Let me do that. Let me execute that. I'm executing this now with Shift F6, so it's just doing the raw, executing that line. But that shows you that iFetch is right down at the raw 4th level, and put a naked 5 on the screen, and the underbar I returned out as a 1-item CoSy vector. But if you have for a dictionary like R, you can index by name, and at that level it's vfetch. So this is retrieving the item named fact from the dictionary R. And this has got, actually there are several items in here, obviously. And for that matter, here's just that index, okay? So this is, you see at this level, you've got it, you're dealing with a database, and this is directly modeled with some small modifications on Arthur Whitney's K. And I again, the major difference, I mean, to go and convert this to get the speeds similar to K, straightforward, if you will, changes, particularly optimizing the modulo indexing that CoSy does, which is extraordinarily convenient, which I can show you just by modifying this line here. Let's say I do, well, here, most fundamentally, most valuable is -1, okay? And why did that fail? But that's why this is the major thing that I need to go and be looking at. What did I, oh, obvious. let me go, and it just put that, it just tried to access the 5 as a CoSy object. It just referenced location 5. So yes, the point is that here is negative indexing goes from the left to being, but also if I go and do Well, let me do again this value of being able to just cut your lines apart like this. I'm going to do 20 iota, and I mentioned before, not I-O-T, that's the first 20 index, and that underbar indicates that it's taking a naked, it's building in the underbar I. So if I go and do 20 iota, and then instead of I fetch, and this I sort of feel I need to, I should do better naming on this, because I go to using at, and I don't like my changing of vocabulary there. I need to go and think about that again, think about that further. But here you can see the modulo indexing. See, it just as replicated this, repeated 5 times. So those are the advantages of modulo indexing, which is better, is more significant. Let me go and just want to check whether I've got any mail. No. Or messages. No. Oh, in any case, let me get back here to fact, because we're really just dealing with, I just really want to explain. Yeah, here's my work log. I want to explain what I did Thursday on this. I decided an issue came up where question mark about, well, when I get there, I'll remember what the particular item was. It's some unit of length or something. But for a long time, and you can see actually I've got various things. This is an interesting one. I will pull up this. And I'll also show I could, well, here, I'll do it this way. I think one of the things, Morris fetch. This is actually let me do this. This is a list of 2 lists. The first is obviously the code, and the one verb that really applies across dimension, if I can find a verb. That's why I can't do arithmetic, or I could never do music. But there I'm flipping it. This is essentially, it's a Morse code table. And this goes back to discussion on SVFig some years ago. But I just wanted to, but the one that I'm interested in actually, and is, let me come back here and look at the names again. It's fact goes back to, and I'm going to show an 2 alternates. One, rather than specifying, I mean, the root directory, because that's so common, and there's a nuance on this that I won't go into at this time, but DV fetch is the same as using, well, to be technical, it goes and looks at a variable underline D, and believe, since I'm not, some of these words that I don't use in a long time, I'm Shift F6ing that to go and see, okay, it is in fact the CoSy. Oh, it is in fact an alias. It's actually got the value of R. It's pointing to exactly the same table. So that's what I could go and to make this clear, since underline D. See, and the purpose of this will become stronger when I've totally replicated the environment in CoSy. But essentially, underline D is the same. And the thing is that if you're working down in a, like if I were working in fact, I could set underline D to fact rather than R, so I can work in a subdictionary and so forth, as if it were the whole root dictionary. But that's more advanced. The most fundamental thing is that I can go and write D is a shortcut for looking in whatever the set is, and normally it's set to R. So this is the equivalent. I also, and let me, I want to grab the item fact out of there, as I have. And notice left tick. This returns a list of those two words, okay? And DV fetch will actually go all the way in there to grab that whole table of things. And actually, this is a point at which it would be useful to look at the whole thing. So our show, which for various reasons that I haven't worked out, it's bugs in IUP, which I really want to get rid of. But let me make sure everything is going, and let me do, because our show on occasion, that's what it should do. Let me come down to where I was working, and let me save that as variable T1. Okay, because this I want to show the whole thing. T1 I've already got sitting here. Our update. Okay, yeah, this is easier to look at. This is where I made a change the other day. But you can see, and this goes back to CoSy, and a bunch of these are actually in CoSy. This does not execute as a script, but earth measurements. This is what I added in here. This came up because I like to calculate just exactly how many days various people have lived on their birthdays. If you have a birthday on Facebook, you're likely to get that I get a notice of, you're likely to get this computation. But I just was looking at, okay, what is it exactly? Because I generally use just 365 and a quarter. But this is sort of the most exact, somewhat more exact, is 365.24.25, which is the Julian year. And then this was, in any case, I didn't have this in fact. in fact. So let me go back over here to where I was working, and you see that I added Earth year to fact, which I did let me execute this. When I first did this to go and find it, I went and went to find this, and it just had the yearly average cost of natural gas, which is sitting in there. Notice these are text variables, and LFVM splits them on line feed delimited lines. But in any case, what I wanted to do, because I did that over in my main the main download source, and it was not in my work log, I executed this. Now, when it does a save, let me go and split, because one of the things is I don't think it hurts to go through a lot of these issues redundantly. I'm just, this is the entire, it's 2000, it's 200K, or yeah. And that is the strung out into a string, the directory, the R, this is R. So it needs to be converted to a list, and do that, okay, here. And I'm gonna save this as a temporary. And you'll see that now it's a list of 2 lists. And now I can grab the fact out of that. So this I've grabbed from, I've read in the main download file, and I've grabbed fact out of it. And then I want to store that in this, in work log, in my local thing. So that's just DV store, okay? Fact DV store. And so let me go and this is okay. So this would read, okay, there's the file name, and F read, and then convert the string to a list, and then select the item out of the list, and then store that. And one of the things to go, and so now my local, this local copy work log has that same item in it. One of the demos actually that I was thinking of at the time to be a little bit more obscure, well, I decided to leave that line with this redundancy. There's an awful lot of the APL level stuff is eliminating redundancy. So if I have this, now I'm using that repeatedly. Now there is a stack, an A stack. Let me go and just execute this much of the line. Okay, that just saved that. But now this A stack, which is like an awk stack, except let me go here for that matter, where I have editing stuff. I'll go another 10 minutes and shut up. But I think probably while some of these may get obscure in future, people can ask specifics about what the hell was that. And it documents it somewhat in any case. I was wanting to, oh, right, parameter pushing. I'll just see, I have it sitting here. Notice these are all various names with ticks. The bug appears to, no. Oh, here we go. There appears to be a bug, and this actually, since it's showing up in public, I'm really going to have to attack this week and find out, because sometimes there seems to be you can see the reason why this is not as much of a irritation as it might be, is because things restart. But let me go and see. Okay. There's something that happens sometimes when I first execute something in the state window. But in any case, okay, now this is in the result window. Whatever the last result is in R0. And this goes and saves the name, reads the file, and returns the thing. So let me do rshow to go and do that, and then update it with the text. So this is parameter pushing. I wanted to pull that up because this is where all those A functions are. And let me come down here. And this is where I executed this line, which went and saved. Well, I've got, this is an interesting piece of what's available on Riva 4th. Notice that actually, this is one definition strung after whoops, one definition. There's the colon definition of 2A, and then actually what the difference between it and 2A2 is oh, right. See, actually, I've got 3 different names. Aux plus, which actually I think that's an old name that I should clean up, which is one of those reasons for wanting to be able to do the major transformations that are available at the CoSy level. But in any case, that just dupes. That throws a dupe on, and then it's the same as that. But in any case, okay, that returned that, and it also now it's available as a fetch. But notice it's a stack and so forth. So I can just use in the whole line here, I can replace, and there's, you notice the definition of A minus goes, and it returns the thing, and the OK means that it decrements the reference count, but doesn't erase it. So it returns it, but the fact is, and I could go into more detail, but I'll just show effectively. I can write now, whoops, return, okay, and then store that, except at this point, have I got, I don't want to do that because I've done this, but let me just go and point this line, which, yeah, the same line here. Here, this has allowed me to just replicate whatever this object was, use it for something, and then replicate it and return it. And one of the things is it will go and reduce that reference count. Definitely, this is going to be a topic for more screenshots. But in any case, it returns it and hands that as a parameter to the store. So these two lines are equivalent, but this one obviously has less redundancy, and since it's a stack, it has all the advantages of the stack. And in fact, this, when it's handed something that has 0 references, that will delete you will free the object. So I think that's an example of how much more random my path is if I don't have the control rod of someone chiming in, and next time I hope to do better at particularly addressing my mail list, getting things out to my mail list on time. It can often be very difficult to find the time on this, but I'd rather, the only way you get things done is to start doing them. But let me point out that rather than consider this is, I will give bennies to those who donate, but please feel free to support this work of a lifetime. And arguably, and I'm willing to go and take any challenge from anybody, the next paradigm in computing language. To go, I would like to see anybody do things similar to what I've done here, either on the APL level. Definitely, you just don't have the objects at the 4th level, but this is executing in open 4th. This is a vocabulary which can be added to any 4th, and it will remain open. But if you have any projects where this, and they can be at the very, extreme level of technology and physics, where the expression of the problem at the APL level, you can understand what you're doing, but the mapping to process or processors at the 4th level, no other APL can match. So I'll just leave it with that, and feel free to, I know I have a donate button down here for the work on climate and planetary temperature physics, which I got involved in because I can do in CoSy, which perhaps next time I'll demonstrate a little of where I'm coming from. But anybody who has stuck with a bunch of this and has any questions, definitely go and comment at any one of the various sites or discussions that you might have. But I'm wrapping this up now, so I will be first, I guess I'll do the stop share, more, chat, hide, let's see, end. Bye.